By let me know if there's any from 1-7 that I should go through. Yeah. Yes. Okay. 14, the test prep one. I was gonna go to this one anyways because you can do it two ways. I want you to know, at the test you only have to pick one, but I want you to understand both. Um, so I'm not sure which way. How many rationalize it on 14? Like the times the conjugate a plus b minus c. Anybody? So raise your hand again if you've rationalized it. Raise your hand if you did it a different way. Okay. So I'll teach the rationalizing way, and then I'm going to challenge you to do it a different way. So one thing we can do is what we learned yesterday. Because if I plug in now, I'm going to get 0 over 0, right? So basically, like, x approaches b. So you're going to plug b in for x. So you get like b minus b, which is 0, and then the square root of b minus the square root of b, which is 0. So 0 over 0 means indeterminate. Try something else. So what we learned yesterday was we can multiply by the conjugate. I don't care that you know what the word is, but like the a minus b, you multiply by the a plus b. And then on top, remember, don't simplify. Like, don't put those together, because if you do this right, this is going to cancel. And then on the bottom, remember a minus b times a plus b is a squared minus b squared. So a squared is x, b squared is b. And then we get to this, like, they almost cancel, but they don't quite. So, kind of two ways to get to it. But if I cross both of those out, what would be left over? A negative one, right? Can I just do that? Okay. So kill that. Negative one. Izzy, is that okay? Does that make sense? Okay. And then plug the b in. So you'll have negative 1 times the square root of b plus the square root of b. And this is something super nice about AP Calc that I think you'll appreciate. You can stop there. If all you have left is the 4 basic operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, you can stop. Because I can absolutely see some people going, yeah, that's negative 1b, which would be wrong, and then you do the whole problem right, but you lost points. So like going on from here is actually a gamble. I wouldn't take it. Like a couple of the tests we have, people will give me answers that look like this. And like that's a valid answer. What the AP test wants to focus on is, can you do the calculus? They don't want to like have you waste your time doing something like that when they could be testing your calculus instead. So this would be negative 2 times the square root of b, but either one of those answers are acceptable, and in my opinion, there's no benefit to going on. You should just stop. Because you might screw up. But that's not like I'm not like tagging you. I might screw up. Everyone might screw up. So if you just have the 4 basic operations left, you can stop. Other ones. 7. Is that one of the fractional ones? Oh, that's what I'm gonna go through today. Okay. So then my challenge is to try 14 a different way. You know what you're supposed to get to. You know the answer, right? We just went through rationalizing. There is another way to get to it. I want to see if you can figure it out. It's pretty tough. raise this to the half power. So that would be, if you could do that, like, it has to stay the same value. And if I took the square root of 9 minus the square root of 4, like, that gives me a different value, so I changed it so that it's not valid, because when you do that, you change it. Does that make sense? Here's my next tip. That's relevant. All I can do for it. Okay, so this way is faster, but it's like harder to remember. So whatever works for you is good. But you guys know the difference of squares, right? So like square of the first, square of the second, and then you put a plus and a minus. Well, you've never really done it in this situation, but you could go from a regular number to a square root. So this is on the bottom. And I've got b minus x. So if I applied this type of rule to it, couldn't I say that's the square root of b plus x times the square root of b minus x? So that's like a plus b, a minus b. If I multiplied those together, I would get b minus x, b minus x. So you're not used to like going, like usually you have something squared, you take the square root, you just get the thing, right? Now we're starting with the thing and going to the square root level, which is kind of weird. But like watch how easy it is from there. Well, there's still like the negative thing. When these cancel, what do you get? You get negative 1, and then you can just plug into that, and you would be good. So it's a little faster. But it's not like what we're used to, so it might be harder. Okay.
Because you can pull the square root of whatever out of them within one case.
You can't pull anything out of it. So like we're just okay. All right, let's do one of the fraction ones. We did the rationalizing yesterday. I changed my mind about the quiz. It's going to be an actual quiz. So on Tuesday, you're going to have a quiz. Let me explain how that works. Today, we're finishing 1.7. Monday, there's a quick lesson on 1.9, and then I'll give you a review, like a practice quiz. Tuesday's a quiz. There's no retakes or corrections on quizzes, but if you do better on the test, then I'll drop your quiz. So it just won't count for you. So you get a 60 on the quiz, you get a 0 on the quiz. You fail the class, you get a 90 on the test, that 0 just gone. If you do worse on the test, your quiz stays. So I'm going to do like whichever helps you. You know what I'm saying? So if you do fail, not great, but you do have a chance to like recover and get it back. Fair enough? So you'll know what to expect. I will give you a review, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to start going through each section this weekend. Like, do I know how to do 1-1? Do I know how to do 1-2? And you can have one cheat sheet. One full cheat sheet, write whatever you want. If you write the review on the sheet of paper, yes. Wait, hold on. I have a clause here I have to add. Hands written. So the cheat sheet has to be handwritten. No cut and paste, no sharing Google Docs. You got to write it because that's the benefit. Like you writing it is you studying it. That's like what I get out of it. Yeah.
If I wanted the unit circle on all of my cheat sheets, but I don't want to write it out every time, can I like write it
I see where you're going, and I see how you could think I would say yes, but my thing is like, no, freaking memorize the unit circle. Or like maybe when you write it every unit, it'll get easier.
Like I know the answer, but I haven't memorized it. It just takes a lot more work to think about it.
Sucks to suck. So no, you can't just use a post-it because then that's a slippery slope. Like, well, could I just do this? Could I just do that? It's gotta be it. Not a unfair question. Okay, so let's do like number 13 here. So I'm gonna go to like the next screen so I have room, but remember that. And quizzes only count for half the tests. The test is much more important because it's double the weight, and you can replace your quiz if you don't do well. Is it this? Am I even close? I just remembered how to look here. You probably just look at that. It just switched, so it's 1 over x minus 2 squared minus 1 over 4, and then that's all over x. Okay. Okay. I want to like side quest here and do one of these with just like regular numbers, like a complex fraction with regular numbers, and then we'll come back to this and do with the variables. But if I had like 1/3 minus 1/4 divided by 6, let's say. I'm going to just work with the top, get this combined, and then I'll deal with the bottom later. So, what's the common denominator here? 12. So what would you multiply this by, top and bottom? Over here would be 3, right? So then I would have like 1 over 12 divided by 6. Because this is like 4 12s minus 3 12s is 1. Okay? And then my next thing is I would say, well, I don't divide fractions. I flip over the divisor and multiply. So 1/12 is the same. 1/12 divided by 6 is the same as 1/12 times 1/6. Then I would get my answer. Fair enough there? So we're going to apply that same idea with the variables. So when I gave you 3 and 4 and said what's the common denominator, you guys multiply them together and you got 12. And you said 12. So what's the common denominator between x plus 2 squared and 4? 4 times x plus 2 squared. Like you just multiply them together. It's the same idea. So what I want is this needs to say 4 times x plus 2 squared. Minus, and then this needs to say 4 times x plus 2 squared. And it's still all over x. And so the question is, how do I get there? So if I need this to be 4 times x plus 2 squared, and all it's got is x plus 2 squared, I've got to put a 4 here, right? Well, if I do that, I've got to put it on the top also. So now it would look like that. And then some people get here and they're like, well, those 4's cancel. They do, but like that would undo like the point we're trying to make. You know what I mean? We're trying to combine. So over here, what do I need? I need x plus 2 squared. Thank you. And then I have to put it on the top also, so I end up here. These get kind of messy sometimes. Questions about what I've done so far? Okay, so now I have a common denominator. So I can go, I'm going to do 2 steps at once here. I'm going to combine these. So that's 4 minus x plus 2 squared over 4 times x plus 2 squared. And it's all divided by x, but instead of dividing everything by x, I can multiply by 1 over x. So that doesn't really look right now like an I'm trying to cancel these x plus 2 squareds, that would be like saying 4 minus 3 divided by 3 is 4. You can't do that. You can't cancel unless it's in every single term. So it's not in this term, so you can't cancel it. So it kind of looks like I'm stuck. Any ideas? Everybody, we're stuck. So I'm going to try expanding out this x plus 2 squared and just see where that gets me. You guys knew that's what it was going to be, but you didn't want to. So nobody said it. So 4 minus, make sure you put parentheses here, because you have to subtract that entire quantity. So the shortcut for these is the first term squared. You multiply these two terms together, but that would happen twice. So you double it. So that's 4x. And then the last term squared. And that is still over 4 times x plus 2 squared. And it's still times 1 over x. This one's about as messy as they can, really. They're typically shorter than this. Questions on up until here? So then, on the top, this is really like 4 minus x squared minus 4x minus 4, right? So those 4's will go away. So I really have negative x squared minus 4x over 4 times x plus 2 squared. I still have that times 1 over x. We good to hear? I got lost here. Go through this step again. Why do this? Okay. So times 1 over x, I don't necessarily need to rewrite this, but I'm going to do it just for the sake of like I'm teaching it, so I want it to be clear. When you're multiplying fractions, you go straight across the top, straight across the bottom. So negative x squared minus 4x times 1 is negative x squared minus 4x. This times x is just, you just throw an x in there. Or you can put like times x at the end, it doesn't matter the order. So now, how many terms are in that fraction? Terms are separated by plus and minus signs or like the big divisor. There's 3. So the negative x squared is a term, the negative 4x is a term, and then all of that stuff together is a term. Is there anything in common in all 3 of those terms that I can wipe out? Take an x out. But I can't do it unless it's in every term. Like I couldn't do it here because it wasn't in this term. So then this will go, this will go, and this will go. And I have the limit as x approaches 0 of negative x minus 4 over 4 times x plus 2 squared, which still looks like a heaping pile of crap. But I can do it now. Before I couldn't plug in 0 because I got 0 over 0. But now if I plug in 0, it'll work. I won't get 0 over 0. So on top I would get negative 4. On the bottom, 0 plus 2 is 2. Squared is 4 times 4 is 16. That should be, in my opinion, that should be your answer. If you try to reduce it, you have nothing to gain, and if you reduce it wrong, you'll lose points. Like that really sucks. I hate doing that on a test. So like you do the whole problem right, you get to here, and then you're like, yeah, that's negative 1/8. And like you just lost a point. Where if you stopped, you would have been fine. So there's no need to reduce, there's no need to do addition, subtraction, division, multiplication at the end. It's risky business. Yeah, but really have no gain. Questions on that one anywhere? A long problem. All right, let me do one more. There's got to be one of the notes, right? So I'm going to do number 3 in the notes. That one's like upside down. The complex fraction is on the bottom instead of the top. So just to do one of those, let's x divided by all of this stuff. Would you like a second to try it before I do it, or should I just do it? Just do it. So I've got a fraction within a fraction. I first should check, like, can I plug in 0? This would give me negative 1/4 plus 1/4, which is 0. 0 over 0, so it is indeterminate. I do have to keep going. But always check, because there are ones that, like, you do the whole complex fraction thing, which you just saw, it takes like 5 minutes. And then at the end, you're like, oh, I could have just plugged it in. And then you just feel like you wasted all your time. So I need to count the denominator. So I need to multiply this by 4, and the top by 4. This by x minus 4, and the top by x minus 4. That's the same idea as like the 1/3 and 1/4. It's just like you multiply those two things together, and that'll be your common denominator. And I have x over 4 over 4 times x minus 4 plus x minus 4 over 4 times x minus 4. Agreed? Good? Stop me if you got questions. So then, I'm going to add these together. So what am I going to get? I'm going to get x. 4 over. So this one works out a lot faster than the other one because there's no like expansion thing we have to do. So then I don't divide fractions. I flip over the bottom one and I multiply. So this becomes x times. So instead of x divided by this stuff, it's x times the reciprocal of this stuff. So it's x times 4 times x minus 4 over x. And then, like, the magic happens. So what can I do now? So this is really just like that, right? Like one big fraction. How many terms are in that problem? Incorrect. 2. This is all one term. This is just a bunch of stuff multiplied together. And divided by this is another term. Is there anything in common in those two terms? There's an x, so those go away. That gets rid of the issue I had before where I had a 0 on the bottom. Now I can plug in 0, 4 times 0 minus 4, and like literally you could stop there. Or you can say negative 16. Those are both valid answers. Question on 3. Give me like thumbs up. I totally get this. It's easy. Thumbs down. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Please don't put me on. Okay. I'll have you guys start, and then if you get stuck, let me know. I'll like sit and answer questions where you get stuck, or walk through one with you, or whatever. But so finish 1/7. Is that what we're on? And so you're doing like the fraction ones and 1/7.
Just this one, I tried to plug in a pretty much where it's like, I put in
I walked all the way back here.
yes.
No worries. You did the fraction ones last night.
That's it right there.
Oh, okay. This is only- oh, so they did. Did it? I'll do it. We'll do it tomorrow. The review that I'm going to give you is just the one in this book. So like, I'm always trying to balance. Like, if I give you 3 questions, you guys will get pissed because if you miss one, you know. But if I put like 50, you won't finish. So I gotta find like the middle ground where I give you as many. I would say more like 20 probably. You missed 2. You need to have some room for error. I know you were not sure. If it's like 20. I'd have like 10 from the first part, 10 from the second, 10 from the or it could be longer. I have a couple tests on like a 2-day test. But usually that's when we get into like today you can use the calculator, tomorrow you can't. That'll come down the road, but yeah. So on half the AP test you get your calculator, and on half you don't. That's really hard to do in one day. It's hard to keep track as a teacher, like who's using it when they're supposed to be and who's like cheating. So
just don't look at this side.
what I would do in that situation is say like the no calculator test is Thursday, the calculator part is Friday. If you don't finish a test in here, you don't finish a test. So whatever you don't finish would be marked wrong. Unless like 30 people don't finish, and then that's probably on me.
Plenty of those. Thank you, actually, because
I'm gonna throw shade here. What? Said we're not gonna throw shade.
I didn't say anything. A past teacher. There was 2 people that finished in both classes at mine.
Were you one of them?
I think I don't know.
You're talking that smack, you better be one of those too.
Good rule of thumb is if Will's not done, then it's not. The majority of the people aren't. I know, yes. I'm like second guessing.
That's what Eric did to people in stats last year. People would be on like number 3 and you're like, I'm done. Yeah.
Oh, this is how. I thought this was my stats. I was like, let me take AP Bio.
You tried.
Yes.
Like, to improve your grade, or you just liked it that much, or what?
I'm sick of this. I had it from Mossberg. Very, very easy.
Let's make sure we're using our classwork time to do classwork, please. That's about how they just probably Thursday. Does that work for you? It's small enough club, I could just ask everybody what day works. So here's, this is good, right? Does that match for that? Okay. think about like what's 10 divided by 2. That's fine. What's 10 times 1/2? So like dividing by 2.
Is that what you said? You said it. I bet you
Glad you
did.
go. Is that okay if I check instead of doing it? I thought you were asking like if it reduced to what they had. Oh. I didn't try anymore. Can you?
Now we go to limit as x approaches 0 over. And then what do we have here? 9 on the outside.
There you go, Angie.
0 there, so 3 squared is also a 9.
Yeah.
And before we multiply 9 times 90, 81, why don't we try to reduce this? And then we'll have a nice simplified answer. So this becomes 2 over 3. So our answer is negative 2 over 3 times 9. 27. There we go. So this is a little bit confusing. There's a lot of algebra steps going on with this. A lot of things that we did in Algebra 2. So you have to kind of take your time. Make sure you're precise with your work. Look back and pay attention to what you're doing. Now, as you go through the practice, you'll have some of these problems as well as what we have already been doing with factoring and direct substitution. So you just kind of have to select which procedure is the best for that particular problem. So remember, direct substitution is a ton faster if you can do it. All right, that's it. Now rock that mastery check, and I'll see you back in the next one.